A memorial portrait for my uncle, Kim Dong-seok. I am now attending his funeral, a somber and dutiful gathering. To be honest, I dreaded coming here for two very specific reasons. We were never close, and my memories of him are tainted by his rough, drunken anger. Life with him seemed devoid of any joy. The most important reason I didn't want to come is my own situation. At 25, I am unemployed, poor, and working part-time. The only silver lining is that my relatives are completely ignoring me. It reminds me of my own father's funeral, where these same relatives pretended I, an orphan, didn't exist. They whisper about how I've supposedly grown up well, yet judge me for drinking, not knowing I was an adult when my father passed. Their conversation shifts to the deceased's daughter, wondering how she must have felt, yet they can't even recall her name. Someone finally remembers her name is Yeon-du, the poor child who discovered her father's body at dawn. Overhearing their talk, a question forms in my mind, a sudden concern for this child's age. Suddenly, all eyes in the room are on me, and I'm caught in an uncomfortable spotlight. An older woman speculates that the child is about 5 years old this year. The question of her future hangs heavy in the air, a burden no one wants to claim. This heavy silence is suffocatingly familiar. It means this child is unwelcome here. It's the same loneliness I faced 6 years ago, an echo of my own abandonment. An uncle breaks the silence, turning to me, Joo-won, with an unwelcome suggestion that I should take her. Leaves me utterly, pointing out how stunned, man my like me with a mind child reeling in disbelief. One woman scoffs at the idea, pointing out how senseless it is to burden a young man like me with a child. He reasons that at 25 I'm an adult and my youth makes me a better fit for Yeon-du than any of them. He suggests I try living with her. He tries to soften the blow by adding it wouldn't have to be a permanent arrangement. They rationalize that our shared experience of loss makes me a suitable guardian, promising financial support from a safe distance. The other relatives quickly latch onto the idea, eager to absolve themselves of responsibility. To them, it's a perfect solution. Defeated by their consensus, I can only muster a quiet apology. An old man erupts in anger at my perceived submission, but his wife soothes him, mentioning someone is already bringing the child. The sudden realization that the girl is on her way here sends a jolt through me. Feeling cornered, I try to make an escape, announcing my departure to a surprised relative. My escape is cut short by the sound of someone arriving at the door. It must be Yoon-ho. A collective gasp fills the room as all eyes, including my own, turn to the small child who just entered. Yoon-ho apologizes for her state, and of all the places sits the little girl, Yeon-du, right beside me. I am mortified. A spotlight of fate shines down on us both, and I know I'm completely trapped. A strange, unpleasant smell wafts from her, and I wonder if it's the stale scent of tobacco. I don't smoke, so the odor must be coming from her clothes, a ghost of her previous environment. The memory of my uncle smoking carelessly next to this small child fills me with disgust. How could he? The sheer awfulness of the situation makes me sigh in weary resignation. I notice she's trembling beside me. Is it grief for her father that makes her shake so? An unexpected wave of compassion moves me to take her hand and offer a quiet reassurance. My touch elicits a sharp, terrified flinch that catches me completely off guard. The sheer force of her reaction almost made me scream, but I notice her trembling has lessened slightly. The gossip starts again, this time with a cruel twist. The child isn't even biologically related to the deceased. They use their different family names as an excuse to sever all ties, mocking the very idea of moral obligation. The consensus shifts to abandoning her at an orphanage, a cold decision made right in front of her. A tremor of fury runs through me. Their callousness is simply too much to bear. I finally snap, unable to stay silent as they discuss her fate so heartlessly right in front of her. My anger boils over. They should have revealed this truth before manipulating me into this corner. Looking at them, only one thought comes to mind: these selfish, rotten people. The uncle defends their cruelty as a twisted form of kindness, better than silent abandonment. I fire back, questioning their complete disregard for the child's feelings in this moment. My defiance is met with indignant rage, shaming me for disrespecting my elders. I offer an apology, but my expression hardens with a decision. I'm sorry, I tell him, but you are not the only adult present here. His face flushes with fury at my insolence, and the others have to restrain him as the scene dissolves into chaos. I force myself to remain calm, knowing that losing my temper will accomplish nothing. With a steady hand, I take hers and make a declaration that silences the room. I will take care of her. As long as I'm the one to care for her, it's fine. And just like that, I became entangled in this mess. Leaving the funeral hall, their insults follow me, and I question my own sanity for making such a rash decision. I remember my words, my claim to adulthood in that room. I can raise her. The words I spoke in the heat of the moment now define my reality. A flicker of pride warms me. For a second, I feel like what I did was incredibly cool. The feeling vanishes, replaced by cold panic. I must be out of my mind. I have no responsibility for her. A hollow laugh escapes me as the weight of my decision begins to sink in. Standing outside, a desperate thought crosses my mind. Should I just go back? The memory of my relatives bowing and apologizing for my outburst flashes in my mind. It was a simple mistake, a momentary lapse, but then my eyes fall on the child beside me. If I turn back now, she'll end up in an orphanage. The thought of her being abandoned again is unbearable. The image of her tears surfaces and I silently curse myself. What was I thinking? We've come this far. Standing at the bus stop, I know there's no going back on my word. The crushing weight of responsibility settles on me. Will I truly be able to handle this? What if living with me is worse for her? But the decision is made and now I must see it through. As I grapple with my thoughts, she tugs on my hand and utters a single, staggering word. I'm stunned into silence. It's the first time she's spoken, and this is what she chose to say. I look down at her, trying to understand the meaning behind her word. Her small voice trembles as she explains the source of her distress. My grip is hurting her hand. Mortified, I instantly release her hand, flustered by my own carelessness. I apologize profusely, my gaze falling on her small, delicate hand. I gently confirm her name and ask if she's hurt anywhere else. She just shakes her head. Her silence is unnerving. A 5-year-old should be more talkative than this. I try to explain the chaotic scene at the funeral, but my words are met with her continued silence. A nervous hope flickers within me. Surely she doesn't hate me. I ask her a simple question to break the ice. The word family hangs in the air between us, a concept she seems to be turning over in her mind. I admit my own uncertainty and playfully ask for her definition, hoping to draw her out. Together, she whispers the word, a question and an answer all at once. Her answer surprises me with its simple wisdom. I confirm her definition, telling her that's what we'll be. She seeks confirmation, and I affirm it's just the two of us now. We arrived at my humble home. Before we cross the threshold, one last question weighs on my mind. I have to know if she's truly okay with this, if being my family is something she can accept. My own heart trembles as I await her response, the fear of her rejection palpable. Her answer is quiet but firm, a simple refusal that hits me with unexpected force. She doesn't want to. The world seems to tilt on its axis. I don't understand. Up until now, she seemed fine. Does she really hate me? My mind flashes back to her definition of family, simply living together. Considering her state and her relatives, it becomes painfully clear that living with her father was traumatic. For her, family must be synonymous with her father. I need to understand why she's afraid. Her reply is a barely audible whisper, a single word that explains everything: scary. In that moment, I understand. For Yeon-du, family is not a comfort, but a source of fear. She looks down, her small voice filled with a pain beyond her years. Family hurts. I promise her that things will be different now. With me, there will be no more pain. There's one final thing I need to ask to be sure. She looks up, clutches my shirt, and after a moment's hesitation, gives a small nod. My heart sinks again. Is she still keeping her distance? Then, with a blush dusting her cheeks, she clarifies that she doesn't hate me. In fact, she likes me. Relief and joy burst out of me in a wave of laughter. I thank her, my heart soaring. In that instant, I understand the heart of a parent, how a child's simple words can bring such overwhelming happiness. I open the door to my messy apartment, suddenly self-conscious as I invite her in. I sheepishly apologize for the state of the place, a detail I hadn't considered until now. After a quick tidying, I tell her to make herself comfortable, but she remains hesitant. Her attention is caught by the strange metal contraption in the corner, and she points with curiosity. Her mispronunciation is so endearing it makes my heart melt. I remember buying this thing years ago to stay in shape, but now it's just a large, inconvenient piece of junk. I gently correct her and begin to explain, automatically using a familiar term for an older brother. But the word feels wrong. With a 20-year age gap, doesn't that make me more of a father figure? The title feels awkward. We need to decide on something we can both be comfortable with. I turn to her and put the decision in her hands. I list out the possibilities, including brother, uncle, and, on a whim, daddy. The last word slips out and I instantly regret it, my hand flying to my mouth. I recall her past trauma and realize the word father might be a painful trigger for her. To my complete surprise, she quietly asks if she can call me that. Her eyes are wide and earnest as she asks permission to call me daddy. It's not the word itself that surprises me now, but her cautious tone. Something is not right here. She says it again, and while it warms my heart, I know I have to ask about her hesitation. I gently probe, wanting to understand the root of her uncertainty. She falls silent, her gaze dropping to the floor. She believes I will get angry if she calls me daddy, a fear that leaves me completely baffled. A sickening realization hits me, that monster didn't even allow his own child to call him her father. Her tears begin to fall as she retracts her words, desperate to avoid my anger. I feel her gaze on me, waiting for my reaction, and I know I cannot fail this test. I must be different from him. I force a smile and tell her that far from being angry, I'm actually happy. I give her my wholehearted permission, and her small, relieved okay is the sweetest sound. I worry she might be tired, but she insists she's all right to go out. Once again, she refuses my help with bathing, a persistent and puzzling behavior. She offers no explanation, leaving me to wonder what she's hiding. It isn't a fear of water. On a brighter note, I find that my old clothes from when I was a child are a perfect fit for her. Her independence extends to changing clothes, as she insists on privacy even when I check if she's finished. I chalk it up to simple embarrassment. After all, she is a girl and deserves her privacy. I ruffle her hair affectionately, and her shy giggle is a welcome sound. Her hair is so long it obscures her face. I contemplate getting it trimmed. There's no point in delaying. I decide we'll do it right away. I frame the haircut as a princess makeover, and her curiosity is immediately sparked. Brings a HT of being happy, a little princess laugh from her. We enter a salon, and a cheerful stylist welcomes us. The stylist's question about our relationship catches me off guard. I stumble over my words, unable to give a simple answer to her simple question. Internally, I'm kicking myself for being so flustered. I decide to commit to the role. The stylist seems surprised, remarking on my youthful appearance. She agrees to the cut but says a hair wash is the first step. To my relief, Yeon-du happily agrees to let the stylist wash her hair. It dawns on me that washing her hair has never been an issue. I offer to pay more for the extra work. She declines the extra pay but gently advises that such long hair isn't good for a child. The stylist directs Yeon-du toward the washing station. I let her know I'll be stepping away for a moment. In the restroom, my phone buzzes with a call from an old friend I haven't seen in a while. My friend's boisterous greeting fills the quiet space, and he notes how tired I sound. I vaguely admit that life has gotten a bit complicated recently. Memories flood back of our high school friendship, of his loyalty and how I unintentionally pushed him away. We make plans to meet up, and I end the call with a sense of warmth. As I dry my hands, a sudden, alarming thought strikes me. A commotion from the salon floor makes me panic. Did she get scared? I hurry back, apologizing for my absence. I return to a bizarre scene. The stylist is looking at me with wide eyes, addressing me as daddy. People are naturally drawn to beauty, staring in admiration or envy. It's not wrong to appreciate it. Human nature to staring and seek beauty, aesthetics. My own self-dislike isn't about my face, but about the weakness and incompetence I feel it represents. Consequently, no matter how stunning someone is, I've never been particularly impressed. I believed this mindset was permanent, but today, that conviction has been shattered. It wasn't a celebrity who changed my mind, but a small child with shimmering, uncertain eyes. Her features are so delicate and perfect. A powerful urge to gently touch her rosy cheeks washes over me. I recoil from my own thoughts. What am I doing, objectifying a child like this? But there she is, looking like a little angel with her new objectifying haircut, my daughter, Yeon-du. The stylist scolds me dramatically, calling it a crime to have hidden such a beautiful face. A chorus of agreement rises from the others in the salon, all cooing over her and, surprisingly, me. Trapped in the lie, I can only offer a flustered apology and promise to take better care of her. Their lectures on parental duty solidify my resolve. I've made this choice and I will face the consequences. To my astonishment, Yeon-du speaks up, her small voice fierce as she defends me from their well-meaning criticism. Her loyalty touches a place deep inside me. Why am I so moved by this? It's been so long since someone stood up for me. Meanwhile, the salon staff finds her protective anger adorable. The stylist moves on to the bangs, and I decide to let Yeon-du choose her own style. She wants to be a princess, a request the stylist is more than happy to fulfill, especially given the salon's name. I entrust her to the cheerful stylist, who gets to work with a determined smile. A moment of fear strikes her and she reaches out, asking for my hand. Holding my hand gives her the courage she needs, and I'm amazed by the simple power of the gesture. The scissors stop and the final snips of hair fall away. The transformation is stunning. I praise the stylist's skill and she asks if she can take a photo of her work. I refuse politely but firmly. I have no intention of using my child for anything. This is a father's duty. Her approval matters, but she seeks mine first. I assure her she is the most beautiful princess in the entire world. The sight of her happy, bright face brings tears to my eyes. We thank everyone and say our goodbyes. The stylist gives me her business card, promising an even prettier cut next time. Outside, I check the time and feel a familiar sense of dread. My part-time job schedule looms. Today is Monday, my day off. With work starting tomorrow, our time is limited. I know what our first priority must be. I ask her if she's tired, and when she says no, I propose a visit to the hospital. I try to make it sound less intimidating, explaining it's just to make sure she's healthy. She insists she feels fine, but I explain it's a preventative measure. Her easy agreement is surprising. Most children dread the doctor's office. Perhaps she's only agreeable because she doesn't understand what a hospital entails. At the clinic, I sign us in, providing our details as guardian and ward. The nurses immediately coo over her, charmed by her cute appearance. I prompt her to greet them, another small step into our new life together. She manages a shy bow, her greeting barely a whisper. Her shyness only makes her more endearing to them, and they shower her with praise. The doctor welcomes us, her warm greeting echoing the nurse's sentiments. I explain that we're here for a comprehensive checkup, alluding to her complicated situation without going into detail. The doctor agrees, preparing her stethoscope to begin the examination. Yeon-du resists immediately, her refusal firm and absolute. She will not show her stomach. Her panicked reaction confirms my fears. This is more than shyness, it's trauma. I look to the doctor for help. She screams and fights with all her might. At that moment, I couldn't understand the depth of her terror. But then her secret is revealed, and the medical staff gasps in shock. The truth is laid bare, and I understand with sickening clarity. It was never about shame. Her tiny torso is covered in bruises. How could I have not seen this? That son of a bitch, the thought of my uncle inflicting this pain on a 5-year-old girl fills me with pure rage. Through her sobs, she begs me not to look, trying to hide her injuries from my sight. Why from me? It all makes sense now, her insistence on bathing and changing by herself. Every time she pushed me away, she was hiding this. Why would she hide her suffering from me? A terrible, logical reason forms in my mind. She must have been told that she was unwanted, a burden. She feared that seeing these marks, this proof of her badness, would make me hate her too. She chose to trust me to call me daddy, and I was completely oblivious to her pain. I feel a profound sense of shame. How can I possibly explain this without sounding like the monster who did it? Her desperate cries pull me from my stupor. She asks the question she's been terrified of. Do you hate me now? Her voice breaks as she asks if this discovery means she's no longer part of my family. I rush to reassure her, telling her there is no way I could ever hate my lovely princess. The word family escapes her lips, still fragile and uncertain. I tell her that's right, we are family, and nothing can change that. My words seem to reach her, and her sobs slowly subside into whimpers. Once she's calm, I sit down with the medical staff and tell them everything. I recount the events of the past few days, laying bare the cruelty of my relatives and my uncle's abuse. I had to tell them the truth, or they would have assumed the worst of me. I conclude my story, hoping they will believe this unbelievable tale. The doctor nods, saying she already suspected something was amiss from Yeon-du's behavior. A child wouldn't seek comfort from their abuser. My explanation simply confirmed what she'd already deduced. They are both overcome with emotion, praising me for stepping up when no one else would. I'm bewildered by their tears. I don't see my actions as particularly noble. I try to explain it was an impulsive decision, but the doctor insists that raising another's child is never easy. I appreciate their sentiment, but my main concern is protecting Yeon-du's privacy. They readily agree, expressing their gratitude once more. Leaving the clinic, I'm stunned by the hospital bill. It's far lower than it should be. With the checkup complete, I tell Yeon-du it's time to go home. Her excitement is infectious. I'm relieved to know she finally has a safe place to call home. I gently broach the subject of bathing again, wondering how she'll react. Her silence makes my stomach clench. Did I push her too soon? But then she puffs out her chest and declares her readiness, and my heart melts all over again. We make a quick stop at a local market for supplies before finally heading home. Exhaustion is setting in, but first things first, bath time. I can see the hesitation in her eyes, the difficulty of exposing her wounds again. I tell her it's all right and give her space, letting her proceed at her own pace. After a while she appears, a small figure covered in a mountain of soap bubbles. I test the shower stream to make sure the water is just right. I misjudge and a spray of cold water makes me jump. I look over to see her giggling. The little prankster got me. I laugh along with her, apologizing for my over-the-top reaction. She reaches for the shower head, wanting to take control. I playfully ask if she dislikes my technique. My teasing backfires as her face crumples, and I realize she's about to cry. I quickly surrender, handing over the shower head to appease her. I caution her to be careful on the slippery floor as she happily takes charge. In her excitement, she loses control of the spray, drenching me and then immediately worrying if I'm all right. She looks at the shower head in her hands with a sense of wonder. I'm sensei of wonder dripping wet, but I can't help but smile at her antics. She looks at me with a mix of fear and excitement, anticipating retaliation. And just like that, bath time transforms into a joyous water fight. After the fun, it's time for the serious business of tending to her bruises with a healing ointment. I ask if she's hungry, and at her shy admission, I promise to cook her a delicious meal. After 6 years on my own, there's one dish I've perfected, the humble fried egg. The side of kimchi comes courtesy of my workplace, a simple addition to our simple meal. Her delighted reaction makes me realize I need to put more effort into our meals from now on. After dinner, I prepare her toothbrush for her. She mistakes the toothpaste for food, and I have to gently explain its purpose. Answering her endless questions is a challenge, but our long, eventful day is finally winding down. I introduce her to the concepts of blankets and pillows, essentials for a good night's sleep. I crawl into bed, the day's exhaustion hitting me all at once. She stands by the bed, shyly asking if she can sleep next to me. Of course, I tell her with a smile, patting the space beside me. Families are supposed to sleep together. She giggles with delight and burrows under the blanket, a picture of pure contentment. She murmurs a sleepy thank you and is gone, lost to dreams in an instant. She fell asleep so fast, I watch her peaceful face, my heart full. Lying next to her, I make a silent vow to provide for her, to work hard and give her a good life. A sudden, cold realization cuts through my resolve. What day is it tomorrow? Tuesday, my part-time job. I sit bolt upright in bed, a huge problem dawning on me. What will I do with Yeon-du? The next morning, I'm on the phone, trying to make sense of a waiting request. The daycare center explains that admission takes months. There are no immediate openings. Discouraged, I end the call and start searching for other options. I try another daycare, desperately asking if they have an opening for just one day. The answer is another polite but firm no. They are already at capacity. They offer a glimmer of hope for a few days from now, but before ending the calls, I need to know one more thing. The price for a full day is a staggering 330,000 won. My jaw drops. The cost is astronomical, nearly my entire salary. Is this really the going rate for childcare? They mention a government subsidy for parents, a benefit that doesn't apply to me. Another hurdle appears. I need to find out if I can even legally become her guardian. Yeon-du's small voice breaks through my frantic thoughts, her face clouded with worry. She asks if I'm sending her away, if she can no longer live with me. I realize with a pang of guilt that she overheard my conversation and drew the worst possible conclusion. I rush to correct her misunderstanding, promising her that we'll always be together. Out of time and options, I bring Yeon-du with me to the convenience store. She looks around the store with wide eyes, asking if this is my workplace. I recall my hasty phone call to my manager, who gave me a rushed, dismissive permission to bring her along. Her question about my job stumps me for a moment. How do you explain part-timer to a 5-year-old? And how do you wonder? Her simple awe is charming, and I lead her into the store. We enter, and I greet the coworker I'm relieving. My coworker does a double take, surprised to see me with a little girl in tow. After a brief explanation, my coworker is completely enchanted by Yeon-du, making a cinematic comparison. The comparison to Leon and Matilda feels surprisingly apt. I can see it. My coworker continues to praise her, declaring her even cuter than the film character. I find a safe spot for her to sit and tell her to stay there while I work. As customers trickle in, each one has the same stunned, then delighted, reaction to the little girl in the corner. She basks in the praise, charming everyone with her angelic smile. It's amusing to watch. When a customer asks if she's my daughter, Yeon-du proudly claims the title for herself. The charmed woman offers her a small treat from the store, which Yeon-du happily accepts. I remind her to chew her gift carefully. Her look of pure enjoyment reminds me of my own childhood. Her disappointment at finishing the snack is so clear that I promise her another one later. She lights up at my promise and sweetly vows to be careful. Her habit of echoing phrases is unbelievably endearing. My phone buzzes with notifications from my chaotic group chat, where my friends are teasing me mercilessly. Despite their rowdiness, it feels good to reconnect with them after such a long time. One of them shares a link to a YouTube channel featuring babies, urging everyone to watch. I take a quick look. The baby in the video is cute, but a glance at Yeon-du confirms that she is infinitely cuter. Why watch videos of other kids when I have the cutest one right here? The manager's arrival interrupts my thoughts. I apologize for our brief and hurried phone call earlier. The manager recalls our conversation and asks about the child I was supposed to bring. I turn around in a panic. The stool is empty and Yeon-du is gone. Then I see her precariously reaching for a snack and my heart leaps into my throat. I stammer an apology to my manager, admitting my negligence. The manager's severe expression tells me I'm in for it now. He simply says I should have told him I had a child and I can only apologize. But his tone shifts completely. He expresses sympathy, acknowledging the difficulty of being a young father. He then proceeds to spoil Yeon-du with an armful of snacks from the shelves. I'm baffled by this turn of events, but decide it's better to let him believe the misunderstanding. Then comes the biggest surprise. The manager offers me a raise to help support my family. I'm so moved and grateful I can barely speak. The manager's kindness solidifies my new purpose. I accept my reality and vow to do my best. As my boss leaves, he offers a simple word of encouragement. I got a raise. The boss's fatherly advice was a small price to pay for this unexpected windfall. Yeon-du notices my smile and explains her own is a reflection of mine. Children are mimics, I recall. I wonder where she learned such a radiant smile. Feeling playful, I lift her into the air, my little lucky charm, and we pretend to be an airplane. I continue the game, asking for her flight instructions. Her question reveals her innocence. I assure her that with me as her pilot, it's not scary at all. My promise of safety is all she needs. She gives the command for takeoff. With a dramatic announcement, Flight 747 takes off, soaring through the aisles of the convenience store. Her eyes are wide with wonder and delight. She loves it, and buoyed by my good fortune, I happily continue the game. Our fun is interrupted by a customer asking for a specific brand of cigarettes. As I get the pack, Yeon-du recoils. Her reaction is sudden and strange. I immediately wonder if the cigarette smell is triggering a bad memory. My mind flashes back to the funeral, to the stale cigarette smoke that clung to her clothes, a constant reminder of her neglectful father. She may be a bright and happy child now, but she carries deep wounds. I realize my duty as her father is to help her heal. He recalls his past habit of smoking for relaxation as he discards the last of his cigarettes. This is a deliberate act of letting go. A new resolution forms in his mind. He must become a better role model, unlike the girl's uncle. Yeon-du's joyful response to a simple lunch invitation is all the motivation he needs. Her happiness is the reason he chose to change his life. Staring at the convenience store meals, a wave of concern hits him. He realizes he can't feed Yeon-du expired, processed food, especially after learning about her growth issues. A firm decision takes hold. He will provide only nutritious food for her. Yeon-du, nestled in his arms, innocently wonders what has captured his attention so intensely. He explains he's choosing her food, but her childish mispronunciation of sausage catches him off guard. He is left to wonder at her innocent question. He sees the sausage she wants and hesitates, but his resolve holds firm. She needs a proper meal, not just a snack. Her face falls a picture of pure disappointment. He struggles against the urge to give in, reminding himself to stay strong for her sake. He gently tells her to return the snack, and she obeys with a sad look. To soften the blow, he makes a deal, a sausage later if she finishes her nutritious lunch. Hope instantly replaces her sadness. He assures her of his promise, and with that, she eagerly agrees to his terms. Her next request is simple: to eat with her hands. His firm no brings another wave of disappointment. He offers a compromise, promising to feed her this time. He also sets a new goal for her, learning to use chopsticks on her own. She accepts. He lifts a piece of food to her mouth, and she eagerly opens wide to receive it. It's a small, intimate moment of care. She savors the food, her cheeks puffed out, declaring it delicious. He playfully quizzes her, asking if this meal is better than yesterday's. She proudly declares his cooking the best, insisting she's telling the truth. Her sweet, earnest praise fills him with warmth. Suddenly, a group of boisterous students enters the store. They're celebrating a friend's exam success by playfully demanding he treat them all. He momentarily shifts his focus from Yeon-du to the new customers. As he attends to the students, one of them notices the little girl. The student can't contain his excitement, calling his friends to see the adorable child. Their attention immediately shifts, captivated by Yeon-du. Undaunted by the attention, Yeon-du offers a cheerful and charming greeting to the group of strangers. The students are completely overwhelmed, showering her with compliments and questions. Their awe is palpable, one even tentatively asking for permission to touch her. A surge of protectiveness washes over him. He feels the students are getting too close and decides he needs to intervene. When Yeon-du calls out to him, the students are stunned into silence. They can't believe this young man is her father. He offers a brief explanation, leaving the students in awe of the situation. Meanwhile, they start to notice his own striking features. A student sees a business opportunity, promising to boost sales by advertising the handsome clerk and his cute daughter. The father politely deflects, explaining it's a temporary arrangement. The thought of a store flooded with teenagers fills him with dread. More work without more pay is a nightmare for any part-timer. He politely but firmly stops a girl from taking a photo of Yeon-du. The friends quickly de-escalate, understanding they may have crossed a line. As the students depart, a vague sense of unease settles over him. He can't shake the feeling that this newfound attention might bring trouble. He keeps his promise, handing over the sausage as the day ends. Yeon-du is delighted, her cute mispronunciation bringing a light-hearted end to their time at the store. He's amused by her joy, reminding her to eat carefully. Her simple gratitude is a heartwarming reward. An unexpected call interrupts the moment. It's his grandmother, and he immediately wonders about the reason for her call after a long silence. Joo-won confirms his identity, only to be met with his grandmother's chiding. She points out his long absence and failure to check in on her. His belated attempt at pleasantries is met with a sharp grandmother's angry rebuke. Clearly, she there is a points deep out his long-seated absence and tension between them. He remembers a critical moment in his past, becoming an orphan. His grandmother offered him a home, but fear and uncertainty made him refuse her help. He's always believed his grandmother resents him, a feeling he gleaned from her expressions alone. He suspects he knows the dark reason behind her unspoken animosity. The source of his guilt is revealed. He carries the heavy burden of believing his own birth caused his mother's death. He assumes his grandmother holds him responsible for her daughter's fate. This conviction led him to reject all her attempts at financial aid, trying to maintain his independence. The conversation turns to the recent funeral, but his responses are cold and dismissive. He deflects her concern with a grim view of life's brevity. He acknowledges their distant relationship and cuts to the chase, asking the purpose of her call. Her response is a command, not a request. He is to come visit. He tries to delay, but she is insistent on a weekend visit. Then comes the unexpected twist: he must bring Yeon-du with him. Panic sets in as he wonders how she found out about the child. A terrible thought crosses his mind: perhaps she intends to take Yeon-du from him. She dismisses his fear with contempt, making it clear she has no such intention. With his compliance confirmed, she abruptly ends the call. The call leaves him drained, contemplating the logistical nightmare of the trip. The journey will be long and will cost him his precious few days off. Yeon-du senses his distress and asks about the call. Hearing it was his grandmother, she immediately declares her a bad person for upsetting him. Her fierce loyalty touches him deeply, bringing a strange sense of joy. He marvels at having a daughter who gets angrier on his behalf than he does for himself. With a determined pout, she solidifies her stance against anyone who is mean. He looks at her, convinced there is no other child in the world quite like her. On their last day working together, he and Yeon-du team up to sweep the store, turning a chore into a shared activity. Just as promised, the students return and they've brought reinforcements. They immediately flock to Yeon-du, their excitement evident. He acknowledges the boost in business their presence brings, maintaining a professional demeanor. The students, however, playfully try to break his formal facade. Yeon-du, ever the gracious host, greets the group of older students with perfect manners and a sweet smile. Her cuteness once again wins them over, sparking more playful banter. He knows the truth: they aren't here for the convenience store, they're here for her. He decides to break the news to them, reminding them that this arrangement is ending today. Their confused faces show they hadn't considered this possibility. A solution to his childcare problem has arrived. A spot has opened up at a daycare and Yeon-du can start next week. He nostalgically calls these days the best of his life, which saddens the students. He then offers some parting, fatherly advice about their own futures. The students are distraught, arguing that her departure shouldn't end their newfound friendship with him. They fervently promise to remain loyal customers, insisting their visits are for his company as well. One of the students, visibly upset, addresses him with a new, more familiar title. The unexpected intimacy makes Joo-won feel a bit awkward. The student pulls a gift from his backpack, announcing it's for him. Joo-won is caught completely by surprise. He pulls out the gift and is stunned to see a beautiful dress, clearly meant for a little girl. The student explains the thoughtful reasoning behind the gift's color. While moved, Joo-won feels hesitant to accept such a present. They brushed off his hesitation, revealing that for the gift giver, Bae-mi, this is a minor expense. The revelation about his wealthy background makes the others sigh in envy. Bae-mi quickly corrects them, embarrassed by the exaggeration. Still feeling indebted, Joo-won insists on paying for the dress. The student stands firm and Joo-won finally relents. He accepts the gift gratefully, promising to repay the kindness in the future. He addressed to Yeon-du, explaining that the kind student promising to bought it repay the just for her. Joo-won prompts her to show her gratitude, but the shy Bae-mi tries to deflect the attention, blushing. He anticipates her next move, a running hug. A complex feeling hits him as he realizes this will be the first time she has shown such affection to anyone else. But she surprises him. Instead of an embrace, she offers a deep, formal bow of gratitude. He is momentarily confused by her formal gesture. Yeon-du, meanwhile, turns to him, proud of her polite display. He glances at Bae-mi, whose expression is hard to read. He speculates that the boy might have been hoping for a hug. Bae-mi's true feelings erupt in a triumphant boast to his friends. Watching them, Joo-won feels a surprising warmth and realizes he's come to care for this rowdy group. As he prepares to close up, a call comes in from his boss. He exchanges pleasantries, but the boss cuts to the chase, sensing something is amiss. Joo-won tries to play it cool, feigning ignorance. The boss reveals he knows something is up. Resigned, Joo-won confesses the truth behind the recent surge in customers. The boss chuckles, crediting the princess for the improved sales. However, he regretfully states that, despite discussing it with his wife, a raise isn't possible. Rage boils inside Joo-won. He feels betrayed, remembering the boss's previous promise of a raise. But then the boss delivers the punchline. His wife insisted a small raise wasn't enough for a father, so they've decided to double it instead. Joo-won is left speechless. His anger instantly transforms into euphoric gratitude. He mentally retracts all his previous curses. His boss and his wife are saints. Walking home, the mood turns somber. Yeon-du, sensing the change, quietly asks if their days together at the store are over. He confirms her fears, telling her about the daycare. When she objects, he tries to highlight the positives, like making new friends. Her simple, heartfelt declaration makes his heart ache. He reassures her that daycare isn't a goodbye, just a temporary separation during the day. He offers one more comfort: she can still visit him at work. That final reassurance is enough to win her reluctant agreement. With the difficult conversation over, he decides to lift her spirits with a surprise. He asks if she'd like to see something cute. Intrigued, she wonders what cute thing he has in store for her. He reveals a can of cat food he had prepared in advance. He calls out a name, Nurang, into the evening air. As a cat approaches, he senses Yeon-du's hesitation and reassures her that the animal is gentle. The cat Nurang affectionately greets him. He explains to Yeon-du that this little stray is a friend he cares for. He sees her curiosity and encourages her to pet Nurang, sensing she wants to but is still a little scared. She voices her fears, asking if the cat is safe. He calmly reassures her that Nurang is harmless. She tentatively reaches out, and her fear turns to delight as the cat licks her hand, making her erupt in giggles. Father and daughter bond over their shared affection for the stray cat. He explains this is their little routine. He offers to let her take part in the ritual, and she excitedly accepts the chance to feed their new friend. He watches the heartwarming sight, a cute child feeding a cute animal, but as he observes the scene, something else catches his eye. He notices that the cat's food dish is not empty. It seems someone has already been here to feed Nurang. With the cat happily eating, he decides it's time for them to leave. Yeon-du shows concern for leaving their new friend behind. He promises her this won't be their last visit. As they turn to leave, Yeon-du points out that they are no longer alone. He turns, startled, and his surprise deepens into recognition as he utters a name, Jihai. He offers a greeting, but Jihai just stares back at him, her face a blank, stoic mask. Her strange reaction baffles him. He assumes she must be the other person who feeds the cat and is surprised to see him here. Her mind is racing and a single thought echoes: this is the absolute worst-case scenario. She can't shake the feeling of dread, the unwelcome surprise turning the moment sour. He completely misreads her mood, assuming her displeasure is about his uncreative name for the cat. He's perplexed by her formality and apparent anger, completely missing the real reason for her distress. Yeon-du, ever his loyal defender, immediately confronts Jihai. He quickly steps in, trying to pacify his protective daughter. He continues to misinterpret the situation, offering to concede on the cat's name. When she deflects, he changes the subject, asking about her absence. She gives a plausible excuse for her absence. He takes it at face value, praising her dedication to the stray. He senses something is off with Jihai, but Yeon-du's impatience reminds him they have somewhere to be. He decides to let it go for now. He cuts the awkward encounter short, giving a polite but firm excuse that they must be on their way. They leave Jihai behind. Yeon-du waves goodbye to the cat, innocently using the name her father gave it. Checking the time, he feels a sense of relief. He playfully asks Yeon-du if she remembers their destination. She remembers all too well, calling their destination the bad grandma's house. While he chides her, he silently agrees with her assessment. He proposes they make a good impression by dressing up, suggesting the new gift. When she asks what a dress is, he equates it to something a princess would wear. The idea of being a princess instantly excites her. They head off to the restroom for a quick costume change. He holds up the dress, admiring its quality and imagining how pretty she will look. Then, his eyes fall upon the price tag. The price is far higher than he expected, and he's stunned by the generosity of the gift. He feels a pang of guilt, considering returning it. He resolves to repay the student for the expensive gift, but for now, he pushes the thought aside to let Yeon-du enjoy her princess moment. He helps her change, and when he sees the result, he is utterly captivated. In the new dress, she is transformed. To him, she looks exactly like a fairy tale princess. He urges her to see for herself, but she can't reach the mirror. Her small struggle amuses him. He gently lifts her into his arms, raising her up to finally see her transformation in the mirror. She stares in wonder, barely recognizing the beautiful princess in the reflection. They linger for a moment, enjoying her happiness. Realizing they've lost track of time, they hurry onto the train, searching for their assigned seats before it departs. She confirms her seat is next to his, a small smile playing on her lips, happy with the arrangement. Her charm doesn't go unnoticed by the other passengers, who whisper amongst themselves about the angelic little girl. He's used to people fawning over her looks, but he proudly knows that her true beauty lies far deeper than what is visible. He sees her start to get drowsy and offers his shoulder as a pillow. She fights her sleepiness, wanting to stay awake with him a little longer. He smiles at her stubbornness, finding her personality just as charming as her looks. In the quiet of the train ride, his mind returns to the unresolved puzzle of Jihai's behavior earlier. He drifts into a memory of their first meeting. They were simply colleagues working shifts at the same store. He recalls the details about her, younger, smart, and attractive, attending a prestigious university. Their relationship started formally, but she was the one who initiated a shift towards familiarity, surprising him with her forwardness. Despite his initial distance, she kept trying to engage him in conversation, her persistence eventually leading to playful banter between them. Her efforts paid off and they developed a comfortable rapport, but their time as co-workers was cut short when she quit her job. He remembers that even after she stopped working there, she continued to be a regular customer. He remembers questioning her presence one day, playfully suggesting she use the store on her own campus instead. Her reaction was unexpectedly furious, and to this day he remains clueless as to what made her so angry. Now, thinking back to their recent encounter, he starts to connect the dots. Perhaps her anger stems from a misunderstanding caused by Yeon-du. He quickly discards the thought, believing their relationship isn't close enough for such a misunderstanding. He decides it's better to just ask her what's wrong. The familiar rattle of the snack cart interrupts his thoughts, bringing a welcome distraction. He flags down the vendor and buys a classic train snack for him and Yeon-du. He offers her a new taste experience, carefully peeling the warm egg for her to try. He suggests a sip of the fizzy drink to wash down the egg, another part of the traditional train snack pairing. Her first taste of the soda is a shock to her system, and she recoils from the unfamiliar fizziness. Amused by her reaction, he advises her to take small sips to get used to the taste. On her second try, she discovers the joy of the sweet, fizzy drink. A new culinary discovery is made. Upon arriving late at night, they are met by a man sent by his grandmother to pick them up. He expresses his gratitude, and the man cheerfully offers to drive them the rest of the way. The ride is a relief, as arriving so late in the countryside would have made finding their own way difficult. He makes conversation, curious about the driver. The neighbor speaks fondly of his grandmother, acknowledging her tough exterior but praising her good heart. The driver reveals a surprising connection, recalling a time long ago when Joo-won's own parents brought him here as an infant. The mention of his parents piques his interest, and he specifically asks about his mother. The man's confirmation adds another layer to the forgotten memory. The driver shares a fond memory, telling Joo-won how much his grandmother adored him as a baby. This contradicts everything Joo-won believed. The driver paints a picture of a doting grandmother, proudly parading her infant grandson through the village. He struggles to reconcile this new information with his lifelong belief. He clings to the idea that her love must have turned to hate after his mother's death. They reach their destination, and he thanks the kind neighbor for the ride and the unexpected trip down memory lane. Standing before the old house in the dark, he announces their arrival to a quiet and watchful Yeon-du. Taking a deep breath, he calls out to his grandmother, his voice cutting through the silent night. The door slides open to reveal his grandmother, her expression as stern as he remembered. Her first words are an immediate accusation of his neglect. His tentative hope is met with her usual insult. This time, he decides he will finally confront her about the strange, recurring nickname. This time, inside he's strange. Finally, Yeon-du confront her about the clings to him, whispering her fear and recurring dislike of the nickname stern old woman. Overhearing the whisper, the grandmother fires back with equal animosity, making it clear the feeling is mutual. He challenges her harshness, bringing up the story the neighbor just told him about her past affection. Her composure breaks from him, clearly flustered by the revelation. She quickly deflects with anger, ordering them inside. He gently coaxes the frightened child, promising to protect her. With his reassurance, she cautiously follows him into the house. His grandmother directs them to their room for the night, her tone still rough and unwelcoming. He tries to broach the reason for his visit, but she cuts him off with a familiar, half-serious threat. His frustration boils over and he raises his voice, earning him a swift smack on the back from his grandmother. Yeon-du, seeing her father being hit, bravely confronts the old woman. Her fierce defense leaves her grandmother momentarily speechless. The visit is already off to a disastrous start. This first meeting between his daughter and his grandmother is every bit as bad as he had feared. Later in their room, he finds Yeon-du sitting alone, facing the wall in silent protest. He quietly enters the room, and his presence startles her from her thoughts. She puts a finger to his lips, her voice a conspiratorial whisper. She promises that she won't let the mean old woman hurt him again. He reassures her, moved by her fierce loyalty. Their quiet moment is interrupted by his grandmother's loud summons to dinner. At the dinner table, he dutifully feeds Yeon-du, ensuring she eats well. His grandmother watches with a critical eye, commenting on his attentiveness to the child. His attempt to include her is gruffly rejected. With dinner over, she finally turns her attention to him, demanding to know the real reason for his visit. He takes a breath, gathering his courage before making his difficult request. He finally says it, the words hanging in the air between them. His request to adopt Yeon-du leaves his grandmother utterly stunned. He recalls the hurdles he's faced. The bureaucracy is complicated and Yeon-du's legal status is precarious. He reviews the adoption conditions in his mind. As a young, single man, he is legally barred from adopting her on his own. Faced with impossible requirements, a desperate idea formed. His grandmother was his only hope. Still reeling from the shock, she questions his outrageous request, unable to believe what she's hearing. He lays his cards on the table, admitting he knows she dislikes him but pleading with her out of sheer desperation. He explains the grim reality he witnessed at the funeral. No one else was willing to step up and care for the orphaned child. He pushes past his discomfort, knowing this is too important. Her silence is heavy as she absorbs the weight of his words. Yeon-du's innocent question cuts through the tension. As he explains, the gravity of the situation seems to finally land on his grandmother. The explanation terrifies Yeon-du. She thinks it means she'll be taken from her daddy, and she tearfully protests. He rushes to correct her misunderstanding, but his words come out wrong, sounding like a threat. He instantly regrets his blunder. Before he can make it worse, his grandmother interjects, silencing his clumsy explanation. In a surprising turn, Yeon-du lunges forward and wraps her arms around the grandmother's waist, leaving both of them stunned. Clinging to the old woman, Yeon-du makes a desperate, tearful plea for her to agree. He misinterprets her actions, a pang of betrayal striking his heart as he thinks she's choosing to leave him. But her next words clear up the misunderstanding. Her plea is not to stay with Grandma, but to ensure she can stay with him. The realization hits him like a physical blow. She is enduring her own fear and dislike of this woman, just for him. The grandmother, unused to physical affection and overwhelmed by the situation, tries to shrug the child off. The girl holds on with surprising strength, creating a strange tableau of a desperate child and a flustered old woman. Worn down by the child's persistence, the grandmother blurts out her consent, her main goal being to end the embrace. Relief floods through him as he pulls Yeon-du into a tight hug. His grandmother seals the deal with a stern warning, making it clear this decision is final. He comforts the trembling child in his arms, whispering that their troubles are finally over. His grandmother shows a flicker of concern for the crying child. He can't resist a light-hearted jab, playfully referencing a rumor to tease her. She swats away his joke and shoos them off. He obeys, a smile on his face, leading Yeon-du out. Outside, they encounter a friendly neighbor. The simple, welcoming atmosphere feels like a good omen. He introduces himself, and the woman's friendly compliments and helpful directions reinforce his feeling of optimism. Walking through the beautiful countryside, he decides to capture the moment and asks Yeon-du to stand for a photo. She stands stiffly, unsure of what to do. He gently encourages her to relax and give him a smile. She beams and he captures the perfect shot, a memory of their peaceful morning. The peaceful moment is broken as Yeon-du suddenly cries out and hides behind his legs. Her source of terror is a small green frog, which in her eyes is a fearsome monster. He chuckles at her fright, trying to explain that the creature is nothing to be afraid of. Their interaction is interrupted by a local boy who smugly calls him a coward for being afraid of a frog. The boy continues his teasing, misinterpreting the situation. Joo-won is more concerned with comforting the frightened Yeon-du than with the boy's taunts. The boy confidently asserts his bravery, making it clear he just finds the frog unpleasant. Yeon-du once again becomes her father's champion, but the boy easily dismisses her defense with a simple, undeniable fact. The boy turns the tables, issuing a challenge directly to Yeon-du. Her father's honor is now in her small hands. He's sure she'll refuse, but to his astonishment, she bravely extends her finger and touches the creature. Her bravery is short-lived as the frog leaps onto her arm, a panic. Once the frog is gone, his concern for Yeon-du turns to anger at the boy who caused the chaos. Seeing the angry look on the man's face, the boy wisely flees. Joo-won is left fuming at the little troublemaker. He kneels down to comfort her, gently explaining that she doesn't need to prove anything on his behalf. She admits the boy's taunts simply bothered her. He smiles and pats her head, appreciating her spirit. After the eventful detour, they finally reach their destination, the quiet mineral spring. He cautiously cups some water, taking a sip himself before he'll let Yeon-du drink any. Satisfied, he offers her a taste of the fresh spring water, and she happily accepts. He splashes some cool water on her face, and she squeals at the cold, refreshing sensation. He explains what it is, and she, now enjoying it, eagerly asks for another handful. Just as they are enjoying the moment, he spots a familiar, unwelcome figure approaching. It's the frog-wielding boy. The boy approaches them, looking sheepish, and offers a quiet apology. Still wary, Joo-won shields Yeon-du, demanding to know the boy's intentions. The boy explains his reason for returning, offering a freshly dug potato as a peace offering. The mention of spring potatoes triggers a faint, distant memory from his own childhood. He sees the blush on the boy's face, and a new, amusing possibility dawns on him. He can't resist teasing the boy, whose panic denial is a clear admission of guilt. Yeon-du, oblivious to the subtext, asks for a definition of the new word. As he starts to explain, the embarrassed boy frantically tries to stop him from revealing his secret. The boy offers his gift directly to Yeon-du, his shyness making his intentions clear. She offers the gift to her father, who hesitates, feeling he's not the intended recipient. The little boy looks on, devastated by the swift rejection. He gently guides her, explaining that she, as the recipient of the gift, should be the one to eat it. She offers the gift to her father, who hesitates, feeling he's not the intended recipient. The little boy looks on, devastated by the swift rejection. He gently guides her, explaining that she, as the recipient of the gift, should be the one to eat it. She takes a bite and her face lights up with pleasure. The boy watches, visibly relieved that his gift was a success. She shares a bite with her father, who confirms its deliciousness. His mission accomplished, the boy decides it's time to depart. Joo-won stops him before he can leave, finally asking for his name. The boy formally introduces himself as Yeon-du. Joo-won decides to tease the boy a bit more, asking him to fetch some water. Yeon-du, his confidence returning, flatly refuses. Seeing his chance, Joo-won returns to his previous threat of explaining what a crush is, much to Yeon-du's horror. Joo-won playfully asks Yeon-du for a favor, but the boy, regaining his composure, tells him to get it himself. He immediately resorts to blackmail, threatening to tell Yeon-du the boy's secret if he doesn't comply. Defeated, Yeon-du trudges off with the water jug, his shoulders slumped in resignation. Joo-won reflects on his own pettiness. The boy had apologized to his daughter, but not to him, and he couldn't let it slide. His petty revenge complete, he commands the boy to take the water and follow him back. The mere threat of revealing his secret is enough to make Yeon-du instantly compliant. As he struggles with the heavy water jug, the boy realizes he has made a terrible mistake. He feels he's made his point, but Yeon-du's kind heart shines through as she worries about the struggling boy. She offers her assistance, but the boy's pride makes him refuse her help, lashes even though he's out with and clearly struggling. Insult, but Joo-won can see right through it. He knows the boy is just flustered and saying the opposite of what he feels. Joo-won changes the subject, asking Yeon-du's age. He learns the boy is 6 years old. He points out that this makes Yeon-dong a year older than Yeon-du, casting him in the roles of a big brother. Yeon-du immediately adopts the new dynamic, but her use of the affectionate term "appa" only makes the boy more flustered. Despite his blush, he relents, allowing her to take one side of the heavy jug. He watches the two children walking hand in hand, carrying the jug together. It's an adorable sight, and he can see the boy is secretly thrilled. Back at the house, he delivers the water to his grandmother, his chore complete. She dismisses him, but he reminds her their time here is short, and they must leave in the morning. He mentions their encounter with the boy, and his grandmother immediately knows who he's talking about, using an odd nickname for him. He connects the dots, amused by her habit of giving everyone nicknames. This emboldens him to finally ask about his own. He explains his fruitless search for the meaning, emphasizing his determination to finally get an answer. She tries to brush it off, but he stands his ground, refusing to be dismissed this time. With a sigh, she reveals the meaning of her lifelong insult. It was never as sinister as he imagined, just a blunt term for being stupid. He protests, unable to reconcile her past affection with the insult. She simply replies that the nickname is fitting. He gives up, realizing he won't win. Later, the smell of grilling meat fills the house. He questions her, knowing she dislikes meat. She downplays the gesture, pretending it's nothing special, just leftovers she needs to get rid of. He asks Yeon-du about the grilled pork belly, and her affirmative answer surprises him. Her specific choice of words, leftovers, immediately tells him everything he needs to know. A surge of anger courses through him as he realizes her abusive uncle must be the one she's referring to. Interrupting his dark thoughts, his grandmother places a freshly grilled piece of pork on Yeon-du's bowl of rice. Yeon-du looks up, surprised by the kind gesture. The grandmother, in her usual brusque manner, confirms that the food is for her. Yeon-du's happy thanks brings a smile to his face. He promises her this is just the first of many proper meat dinners. Feeling playful, he prepares a wrap and offers it to his grandmother, who just stares at him, unimpressed. She rejects it, but he persists, trying to create a moment of family bonding, however awkward. She takes a reluctant bite, only to complain about the quality of the meat. He sighs, realizing his attempt at reconciliation was a failure. The meal over, he offers to clean up, his duty as a guest, while the tired Yeon-du rests against him. Just as he's about to get up, she calls out his name, her tone serious. The simple act of her using his name stuns him. In all his life, she has never done so before. She finally reveals the true reason she summoned him. She wants to talk about the events at the funeral. He knew this was inevitable. She didn't call him here for a friendly visit. She called him here for an interrogation. She relays the version of events she heard from her other children, a sparse and accusing summary. He's frustrated by the biased, incomplete story they've fed her and sighs at the inevitable confrontation. She admits their story sounded suspicious, but when she pressed them, they doubled down on their lie, painting him as rash and irresponsible. He's disgusted by their deception, but his grandmother surprises him by revealing that she doesn't believe their side of the story. He's hesitant to speak ill of her own children, but she pushes him, wanting to hear his version of the truth. He relents and recounts the entire sordid affair, laying out the full, ugly truth for her to hear. Her face hardens with rage, and she's ready to go to war for him, but he urges her not to. He calmly explains that he doesn't want anything from them. His decision to take Yeon-du was his alone, and he wants no connection to them. He firmly states that their small unit is all the family he needs. His grandmother looks at Yeon-du, her expression softening as she sees the bond between them. She gives him her blessing, a quiet acknowledgement of his new role. He is filled with gratitude, and with that, their difficult conversation is over. He renews his offer to clean up, but she shoos him away, telling him to rest. A truce has been called. The next morning, they say their goodbyes. The atmosphere is lighter than when they arrived. Her gruff facade returns as she sends them off with insults and a package of food. He prompts Yeon-du to say her farewells, and she shyly obliges. Yeon-du admits she is sad to leave, and the grandmother, overhearing, makes a sarcastic offer for her to stay. The grandmother's joke backfires, frightening Yeon-du. He sighs at the last-minute drama but notices a faint, genuine smile on his grandmother's face. Before they leave, Yeon-du turns back and asks the most important question: can they come back? The grandmother's response is both a yes and a demand, leaving him once again baffled by her prickly affection. With a final wave, he turns to leave, the visit officially over. Just as they're leaving, Yeon-du pops up, giving them a small fright. The boy has come to see them off. Yeon-du's continued use of appa for a boy just 1 year older still grates on him. The boy offers another gift, a whole bag of potatoes this time, a gesture of newfound friendship. As Yeon-du accepts the gift, Yeon-du works up the courage to ask if he'll see her again. He answers on her behalf, sealing the promise of a future visit. The boy watches them go until they are out of sight. Their short but eventful trip to the countryside has come to an end. He's back in his old routine, but something feels different. The hours drag on and an unfamiliar emptiness hangs in the air. He looks at the empty stool beside him, the silence deafening. A wave of longing and parental anxiety washes over him. But his fears are unfounded. He knows she is a child who will be loved wherever she goes, and he trusts she is doing just fine. His shift finally ends, and he hands over the store to his coworker, free to go. A smile spreads across his face as he thinks about picking her up. Anticipation bubbles inside him. His phone buzzes, displaying a name that makes him hesitate. A call from Choi Yeon-du is rarely good news. He answers the call only to be met with an impatient demand. He has no idea what Yeon-du is talking about. Yeon-du reveals that he and their friends are waiting right outside his door, their patience wearing thin. He's stunned that they found his home, but then a recent memory clicks into place. He recalls a brief text exchange where he carelessly gave away his address. He now regrets his thoughtlessness. He curses his own gullibility. He's walked right into a trap perfectly orchestrated by his friend. He chides his friend for the surprise ambush, but Yeon-du correctly points out that it was the only way to get him to meet. Grumbling, he ends the call and steps outside to face the ambush he can no longer avoid. His friends greet him with their usual teasing, already making themselves at home on his doorstep. He playfully attacks the ringleader, Yeon-du, but their other friends just watch the scuffle with amusement. He relents, defeated, and takes the bag of alcohol they've brought, accepting his fate. Once inside, he puts his foot down, telling them that drinking is off the table for him tonight. His friends are baffled by his refusal, reminding him that he doesn't have to work tomorrow. He clarifies that for him, there are no holidays, a fact his friends find hard to believe. Yeon-du drops a bombshell, making a wild accusation that sends the other friends into a frenzy. As proof, Yeon-du brandishes the green dress. The sight of it only deepens the mystery and their suspicion. All eyes are on him, waiting for an explanation. He feels trapped, knowing any answer he gives will sound unbelievable. He decides to just rip the bandage off and tells them the plain, unvarnished truth. His friend carefully recaps the incredible story, trying to process all the shocking details of the situation. He lays out the final, dramatic points of the story. Joo-won can only confirm that, as crazy as it sounds, it's all true. A heavy silence falls over the room. He waits anxiously for their judgment, unsure how they will react to his life-altering news. The silence is broken by a friend who declares himself moved, not by the story's sentiment, but by its sheer audacity as a lie. They treat his heartfelt confession as an elaborate joke, complimenting his creativity. Their disbelief is infuriating. Annoyed, he gives up trying to convince them and announces he has to leave for a very real, fatherly errand. His friends tell him to stop the charade, finding his commitment to the lie more unsettling than amusing. Frustrated and out of patience, he decides to leave them to their skepticism. He has more important things to do. They block his exit, still convinced this is all an elaborate prank that has now gone on too long. He ignores their protests, his mind set on leaving. His first priority is picking up his daughter. He greets the daycare teacher, asking about Yeon-du's day. The teacher assures him she was well behaved, but her hesitation hints that there's more to the story. The teacher reveals that Yeon-du was anxious all day, constantly asking for him. His heart aches with a mixture of guilt and love. The moment she sees him, she runs into his arms, her joyful greeting washing away all his worries. His friends, who have secretly followed him, witness the tender reunion. The truth hits them with the force of a physical blow. Yeon-du curiously eyes the stunned onlookers. He smoothly introduces them and diverts her attention by asking about her own day. With introductions made, he leads his daughter home, ready to start their evening routine. The three friends are left reeling, a wave of shame washing over them. They now understand the gravity of the situation they had treated so lightly. Back at the apartment, he asks for her permission to have guests. Her innocent trust in his judgment is absolute. Yeon-du approaches her gently, introducing himself with a new, friendly title. She cocks her head, carefully trying out the unfamiliar name on her tongue. He's overwhelmed by an indescribable cuteness, feeling a shortness of breath. This child is simply too adorable for him to handle. Two men introduce themselves as her daddy's friends, vying for her affection with bold claims of handsomeness. But the girl remains loyal, insisting her own father is the best-looking of all. Sunhyun concedes defeat, ranking himself second in looks only to her father. This sudden humility surprises her dad, who expected a much more arrogant reaction from his friend. Yeon-du, held in her father's arms, points towards something off-screen. She tugs on his sleeve, her expression filled with innocent confusion as she asks what she's seeing. A wave of panic washes over her father as he sees what has caught her eye. It's a garbage bag filled with empty alcohol bottles, a sight he desperately wishes she hadn't seen. He recalls Yeon-du's past trauma, how the mere sight of alcohol bottles would trigger fear and distress in her. He turns on Sunhyun, furious he brought something so triggering into the house. He snatches the bag away with a look of stern rebuke. Sunhyun immediately moves to take the garbage outside, a silent apology for his thoughtlessness. The friend is left confused by the intense reaction. He knows he might have overreacted, but he also knows his friends are good people. Sunhyun accepts the blame without a word, a loyal friend to the end. The mood shifts as the friends gather to watch a video of Yeon-du. They are utterly captivated by her every move, cooing over how angelic and adorable she is. A memory clicks into place for the father. He finally understands his friend's previous silence when he had shared a video of another child in their group chat. His friend confirms his thoughts. Once you have a child as cute as Yeon-du, all other children pale in comparison. Her father can only agree, swelling with pride. Suddenly, Joo-won announces he has an idea inspired by the video. The father and another friend turn to him, their expressions a mixture of surprise and curiosity. The idea is simple yet profound. He suggests that the father and Yeon-du should share her cuteness with the world by starting a kids' tube channel. Yeon-woo jumps on the idea, excitedly proclaiming Yeon-du would be a bigger hit than a famous chef. The father remains stunned, processing the unexpected suggestion. Sunhyun, an avid viewer of kids' channels, adds his expert opinion. He praises Yeon-du's unparalleled cuteness, suggesting she's in a league of her own. The father shuts the idea down immediately. His life is already a balancing act between work and Yeon-du. He has no time to add filming and editing to the mix. Furthermore, he objects to the idea of exposing his child's life to the public, but his friend insists there's another, more important objective. The friend clarifies the primary motivation with a grin and a gesture. The real goal is money, and lots of it. This reasoning only makes him hate the idea more. To him, it feels like exploiting Yeon-du for financial gain, and his friend is only seeing one side of it. The friend urgently reframes the concept. He's not suggesting selling her for money, but rather making money to provide for her future. The phrase hangs in the air, resonating deep within him. Everything for Yeon-du. The idea suddenly seems less repulsive and more considerable. The house is quiet again after his friends leave. As he cleans, he thinks about their plans and the promise he made to join their next gathering. He asks Yeon-du for her opinion of his friends, and her joyful approval brings him a wave of relief. It's good that she likes them. He finds himself seriously contemplating the MeTube idea. If it's for her sake, maybe it's worth a try, but first he needs a professional opinion from her doctor. He gently brings up the topic with Yeon-du, gauging her reaction to the idea of sharing her videos with others. Her hesitant reply shows she's unsure. The concept of strangers watching her is unsettling for Yeon-du. She nervously asks her father why people they don't even know would be looking at her. He answers her with a simple, reassuring smile. They would look at her because she is pretty. The logic puzzles her. People look at pretty things. She touches her chin, trying to understand this new concept. He tries to connect it to her own experience with the photos he takes. He asks if she thought they were pretty, and she shyly agrees. He is suddenly struck by a worrying thought. Could it be that she doesn't see herself as pretty at all? Thinking back, he realizes she compliments everything and everyone but herself. The awareness dawns on him. Yeon-du has never acknowledged her own beauty. He gently probes, asking what she hears from others. She thinks for a moment, then repeats the compliments she's received about her pretty face and heart. Doubt clouds her face as she reveals someone called her dirty. Her father's expression hardens instantly, his concern turning to anger. She simply shakes her head, indicating the source of the cruel words wasn't anyone from her daycare. The memory is sharp and painful. She recalls being called a bad and dirty child, like a discarded rag. Fury boils inside him as he clenches his teeth. He doesn't need to ask who. He knows exactly who is responsible for poisoning her mind with such filth. The memory of his uncle surfaces, a man who only ever seems to show up to cause pain. The insult is undeniably his handiwork. He holds her, reinforcing his promise to always be truthful. He looks into her eyes and declares with all sincerity that she is an incredibly pretty child. He sits her down, looking at her earnestly. He tells her she's as beautiful as the whole world, and she seeks his confirmation one more time. His purpose is now clear. He must rebuild her shattered self-confidence. He announces his decision. They will start the video channel. His motivation is pure and simple. He wants the whole world to see his daughter as he does, undeniably and wonderfully pretty. With a renewed sense of purpose, he sits down at the computer with Yeon-du. Together, they begin the first step of creating her channel. The first creative decision is an easy one. He has no doubts about what the channel's name should be. He types in the name Yeon-du Tube. The little girl beside him lights up with excitement, pointing and exclaiming that it says her name. Overcome with affection, he praises her for being able to read her own name. It's a small milestone, but it fills his heart with pride. He remembers how recently she was illiterate. He had just started teaching her, carefully writing out the characters of her name. He felt a sense of urgency about her learning to read and write. He had held up her name for her to practice, wanting her to be able to identify herself. The channel exists, but the next step is a mystery. Yeon-du looks to him for guidance, but he's just as lost as she is. A sense of uncertainty creeps in. What exactly are they supposed to film? He feels they have nothing special to show. He refocuses on his two primary motivations for starting the channel. The first is to boost Yeon-du's confidence, and the second is to earn money for her daycare. While building her self-esteem seems straightforward, the financial goal feels daunting. He wonders if it's too much to expect, but resolves to set a high bar from the start. He pushes his doubts aside and declares it's time to begin. Yeon-du cheers with excitement, ready for their new adventure. Browsing other channels, he's stunned by the competition. He understands that success hinges on quality and that the top channels have production values to match. He deduces that the profile picture is a crucial first step. It's the visual hook that will draw people in. He decides to involve Yeon-du in the creative process. He asks her to help choose the picture that will represent their channel. He shows her a gallery of photos, letting her browse. She thoughtfully considers the options before her. Her choice is clear and confident. She picks a photo where she looks absolutely lovely, and he can't help but agree, beaming with pride at his daughter's natural charm. The profile picture is uploaded and their channel starts to take shape. Now, all that's left is to design a banner for the still empty page. He mulls over the banner design, deciding against anything overly complex. A simple, fresh look will be best. The final banner is simple and colorful. Yeon-du immediately recognizes the shade of green, joyfully claiming it as her own color. He smiles, pleased that she likes the color he chose. Her happiness is what matters most. The last task is uploading their first video. He researches editing programs, bypassing the expensive professional options for a free, user-friendly one that seems perfect. Starts to rub her eyes. He professional decides options for its free time for bed. Seems perfect. He'll put her to sleep and then power through the editing. He downloads the recommended program and finds it surprisingly intuitive. The editing is done much faster than he anticipated. He previews the final cut and can't help but smile. Yeon-du's reaction in the video is so endearing that he finds himself watching it over and over. He tells a curious Yeon-du he's about to upload the video. He clarifies that it means their video will now be available for others to see. She falls silent, a hint of apprehension in her eyes. He senses her worry about being watched by strangers but feels sure it will turn out well. He offers her a final piece of reassurance. He is certain that everyone who watches will see how pretty she is. His words work their magic. Trusting her father completely, she beams, her worries forgotten. He wakes up with a start, disoriented and wondering about the time. Beside him, Yeon-du sleeps peacefully. A glance at his phone sends a jolt of panic through him. He's overslept and is now running late for work. In his rush, he has to tell Yeon-du there's no time for breakfast. She reassures him that she's okay, and he feels a pang of guilt mixed with relief. The guilt of being a failure father weighs on him. He helps her get ready, gently washing her face for the day ahead. The clock is ticking. He hurries with Yeon-du, a sense of anxious urgency hanging over them as they race against time. He decides to carry her to speed things up. She expresses concern about being a burden, but he lovingly dismisses it, telling her she's as light as a feather. A woman calls out to him, but he's in too much of a rush to stop. He gives a brief, hurried reply as he continues on his way. He immediately feels a pang of regret for his curtness. He decides he needs to find her later and apologize for his behavior. He says goodbye to Yeon-du at the daycare entrance, promising to return after work. Her quiet, sad expression tugs at his heart. Every departure is bittersweet. He knows Yeon-du is sad to see him go, and the feeling is mutual, a shared ache of separation. He makes it to work just in the nick of time. His shift begins immediately with the first customer of the day. A regular customer asks about Yeon-du, disappointed to hear she won't be a permanent fixture at the store. He explains her presence was only temporary. He reflects on the past few days and realizes Yeon-du had a tangible impact on the store, her charm drawing in people. Two familiar high school students arrive, greeting him with their usual boisterous energy. They announce their daily visit, and he playfully asks if the two of them are dating, much to their surprise. The suggestion sends them into a frenzy of denial. They shout over each other, mortified by the implication and insisting they are not a couple. He laughs off their explosive reaction, apologizing for the misunderstanding. Realizing their argument could go on forever, he decides to steer the conversation elsewhere. He notices a missing face and asks about their friend. They explain his absence and mention that he sent a new person in his place. A girl named Yeon offers a quiet greeting, startling him. Her presence was so unassuming he hadn't even realized she was there. He assumes she came hoping to see Yeon-du, and her friend confirms it. Yeon had missed the little girl and was eager to visit. Learning Yeon-du isn't around, the girls are visibly disappointed. As a consolation, they ask if he has a picture of her they could see. He proudly shows them a picture on his phone. Their reaction is immediate and full of awe, all agreeing that she is incredibly pretty. Yeon stares at the photo, overcome with a longing to meet the girl in person. Her friend reaffirms that Yeon-du's beauty is breathtaking. Seeing how happy a simple picture makes them, he feels a quiet satisfaction. The moment prompts him to check on the progress of their new video channel. He opens the app on his phone, a flicker of anticipation running through him. He's about to see the results of their first upload. He looks at the view count and is completely stunned. The numbers are far beyond anything he could have imagined. The video has thousands of views and hundreds of likes in less than a day. He reads a glowing comment and wonders how this is even possible. His dazed expression catches his friend's attention. He quickly checks the numbers again, trying to make sense of the video's unexpected popularity. The subscriber count is just as shocking. With over 1,000 subscribers already, he's baffled by the overnight success of a single, simple video. His friend's curiosity is piqued. He leans in, asking to see what's on the phone that has caused such a commotion. The friend is more surprised that he started a channel at all, and a little hurt he wasn't told sooner. He quickly explains it was a very recent development. The students are speechless, their eyes wide as they look at the phone. They can hardly believe the numbers they are seeing. They pepper him with questions, astounded by the high subscriber-to-view ratio. He confesses that he's just as baffled as they are. Watching the video, the students are completely charmed. They marvel at how Yeon-du manages to look like an angel even in a less than graceful moment. He speculates on the reason for the channel's instant success. He concludes that Yeon-du's charm is simply irresistible. The students show their support by subscribing on the spot. He's touched by their enthusiasm and thanks them for their encouragement. The student, savvy about social media, is impressed by the organic growth. He theorizes that the video must have spread through word of mouth. He elaborates on his theory, suggesting a viral spread through private messages. Still, he acknowledges that this level of success is unusual for a brand new channel. But upon reflection, the student concedes that the video's appeal makes its rapid spread plausible. The father considers this, the term word of mouth, echoing in his mind. The concept of viral sharing becomes clear. A small initial audience can grow exponentially if the content is compelling enough to be shared repeatedly. The student teases him, suggesting this success proves Yeon-du's universal appeal. He then questions if the father is truly as clueless about video creation as he claims. The group showers him with compliments on the channel's aesthetic. They credit his smart design choices, particularly the choice of profile picture, as a key factor in its success. He gets shy from the flattery, but their praise gives the girl an idea. She impulsively asks if he would be willing to create channel art for her as well. Her friend reveals that she already has a channel dedicated to her singing. He proudly boasts about her talent, mentioning her victory at a school festival. The aspiring singer explains his dream, which surprises the father. Sensing this, the boy asks defensively if he doesn't seem like the type. He quickly reassures the student that the dream suits him perfectly. The conversation leaves him feeling pensive, as the concept of having a dream feels distant and foreign. He learns about the intricacies of MeTube analytics from Joo-won. He's amazed to hear that Yeon-du's video has an almost perfect viewing time, a sign of high engagement. He is also surprised to learn that many of the channel's subscribers are international, suggesting a global appeal. This international audience is a potential goldmine. Ad revenue from overseas, particularly the US, could be significantly more lucrative. A friend prompts him to check the comments section, a feature he had overlooked in his shock about the view count. He feels a surge of anxiety as he navigates to the comments. He braces himself for the possibility of negativity and hate. He steels himself for the inevitable trolls and haters. He is determined to shield Yeon-du from any malicious words by diligently moderating the comments. He begins to read, his apprehensions slowly melting away. The comments are filled with praise and adoration. The positive feedback is a huge relief. He beams as he reads comment after comment praising his daughter, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. He wants to share this wave of positivity with Yeon-du immediately. However, he finds himself puzzled by some of the internet slang used by the commenters. His culture nerd status amuses his young friend. He doesn't understand the joke, which only makes the friend laugh harder. The student clarifies the slang, explaining it's an acronym for dying of cuteness. The irony of him knowing one obscure term but not the other is what's so funny. The literal interpretation makes him feel out of touch. His friend patiently explains it's just hyperbole, leaving him feeling like an old man. Despite their reassurances of loyalty, the generation gap feels vast. He's left wondering if he's already become an out-of-touch old man. Yerim interrupts his thoughts, showing him her phone. It seems he has become something of a celebrity in the comments section himself. They tease him about his newfound fame, suggesting he could easily attract a following of his own if he just appeared on camera. He deflects the teasing with a shy apology. The easy banter confirms to him that she fits in perfectly with his friends. He observes that they look good together, but the male student vehemently protests, insisting he will get upset if the teasing continues. As the students depart, he bids them farewell, grateful for their visit and their support. Alone again, he stares at his phone, still struggling to believe the numbers on the screen. It all feels surreal. In the short time since his friends left, the view count has nearly doubled. The video's popularity continues to grow at an astonishing rate. His phone buzzes relentlessly with new notifications. The stream of comments is endless, a constant reminder of the video's viral spread. His friends flood the group chat with excited messages. They are all floored by the channel's explosive growth and speculate about his imminent financial success. He scrolls through their messages, smiling at their enthusiastic support. Their excitement mirrors the general reaction from the viewers. The excitement is tempered by a shared concern. They worry that financial success might attract unwanted attention from his estranged family, a thought that infuriates Sunghyun. A dark thought clouds his mind. He knows his friends are right. The possibility of his relatives interfering is very real and very frightening. The memory of their cruelty is still fresh. He remembers the day they dismissed Yeon-du, seeing her only as a burden. He remembers their callous words spoken in front of the child without a second thought. They saw no value in her then. He hardens his resolve. He will protect his daughter at all costs and never allow those people to exploit her. Putting his dark thoughts aside, he arrives at the daycare. He calls out to Yeon-du, letting her know that her daddy is here. The teacher welcomes him with a smile, just as Yeon-du's happy cry echoes through the room. She rushes towards him with pure joy, and he instinctively warns her to be careful, his voice full of love and concern. They share a sweet exchange, both confirming they had a good day. She asks if he played with his friends, and he asks the same of her. His question about her behavior with the teacher is met with a sudden, guilty silence. Her fidgeting tells him everything he needs to know. The teacher chuckles, revealing that Yeon-du and a friend were too busy chatting to nap. Apparently, the topic of conversation was how wonderful her father is. He asks if she was really talking about him. She bashfully confirms, listing all the things she bragged about to her friend. He seeks confirmation, a wide smile on his face. Her enthusiastic nod is all the answer he needs. Flustered but secretly pleased, he thanks the teacher and prepares to head home with his daughter. A sound makes them pause at the door. They both turn to see a small girl peering at them from behind the wall. He asks who the child is, and Yeon-du happily introduces her as Seon, her friend from nap time. The teacher explains their nap time routine. While Yeon-du brags about her dad, Seon brags about her mom. It seems they are two peas in a pod. He greets the little girl warmly, complimenting her and thanking her for being a good friend to his daughter. Seon makes a bold request, her voice small but determined. She wants to go home with them. The teacher gently denies her request, explaining her mother is on her way. The disappointment on Seon's face is heartbreaking. She looks ready to burst into tears. Yeon-du's soft tug on his sleeve is all it takes. He decides to intervene and asks the teacher for an estimated arrival time for Seon's mother. Learning her parents are often late, he offers to wait with the children until they arrive. The teacher is relieved and grateful for the kind offer. The news brings immediate joy to both girls. They bounce with excitement at the prospect of spending a little more time together. He tells Yeon-du to sit and wait, but she surprises him by planting a sweet kiss on his cheek instead. He's momentarily speechless, completely caught off guard by the spontaneous show of affection. She confirms her action with a simple, proud nod. She explains the logic behind her action, taught to her by her teacher. He mentally thanks the teacher for such a wonderful lesson. A part of him feels overwhelmed, but he quickly suppresses it. He resolves to accept her affection, even if it makes his heart pound. He sets a boundary, telling her that kisses are reserved only for her daddy. She readily agrees to the terms. 15 minutes pass, and the sound of an approaching person signals the arrival of Seon's parent. A woman rushes in, apologizing for her tardiness. As he turns to face her, he realizes she looks familiar. A moment of mutual recognition passes between them. It's the same woman he was so rude to on his way to work. The memory of their morning encounter floods back. He recalls his curt behavior and the apology he never got to make. He takes the opportunity to apologize for his behavior earlier. She waves it off, completely understanding the pressures of being a parent in a rush. They formally introduce themselves through their children. He's surprised she already knows Yeon-du's name. She explains that her daughter came home raving about a new, pretty friend. Seeing Yeon-du in person, she can only agree, and the compliment makes Yeon-du blush. As they walk, Seon's mother apologizes again for the wait. He reassures her that it was truly no trouble at all. She gently chides her daughter for causing a scene, warning her about future behavior. But Seon's only motivation was her desire to spend more time with her new friend. He downplays the length of his wait, but she thanks him nonetheless for his kindness. They learn they are neighbors, their paths destined to cross again. They point out their respective homes as they walk. He muses on how comfortable their interaction is, despite being strangers. He credits their daughters for breaking the ice. The two girls are deep in conversation. Seon is impressed by Yeon-du's late bedtime. Seon reveals her earlier bedtime, enforced by her mother, who turns into a monster. The frightening word makes Yeon-du gasp. Her mother immediately tells her to stop with the scary talk. Seon dismisses her mother's concern with a pout. She clarifies for his benefit that the monster talk is just a tactic to get her energetic daughter to bed on time. He chuckles at her parenting strategy. She notes that Yeon-du seems so well-behaved that he likely doesn't need to resort to such measures. They reach their destination, signaling the end of their walk together. Seon tries to negotiate for more playtime, but her mother is firm. It's time to go home and get ready for bed. The plea is reduced to 10 minutes, but the answer remains a firm no. He observes her strict parenting style. The monster threat is deployed again, but this time Seon calls her bluff, defiantly calling her a liar. He silently observes the dynamic, guessing that his presence is undermining the mother's usual authority. He decides to step in, turning to his own daughter with a simple question about the playground. Her response is not what he expected. She looks at him with genuine confusion, asking for a definition of playground. Her question stuns him into silence. The idea that she has never even heard of a playground is incomprehensible. The sad reality of her past hits him hard. Of course, her neglectful guardian would never have provided such a basic childhood experience. A wave of self-loathing washes over him. He feels foolish for his shock, realizing it stems from a place of deep neglect that he failed to consider. Her innocent question pulls him from his dark thoughts. He struggles to find the right words, embarrassed by his oversight. He quickly comes up with an excuse, explaining that her vocabulary is still developing since she's new to the area. He confesses his reasoning to the other parent, admitting he avoided playgrounds out of a fear for her safety. She seems to be challenging his decision. She argues that playgrounds are essential for children's development and that sheltering her could do more harm than good. Her argument is persuasive. Playgrounds offer valuable social learning experiences. He's relieved his flimsy excuse was accepted and her advice is sound. Seon's mother playfully tells Yeon-du that her own dad only used to play prisoners at home, a much less fun alternative. She points out the modern, safe playground right in front of them, assuring him there's nothing to worry about. She takes charge, announcing a father-daughter bonding session at the playground, much to Seon's delight. He feels he has no say in the matter. Resigned, he agrees to take her to the playground, but her curiosity has been piqued by the other mother's comment, and now she wants to know about prisons. He quickly silences her, promising an explanation later. It's a conversation for another time and place. He redirects her attention, describing the playground as a place of immense fun, using a familiar metaphor to convey his excitement. He breathes a silent sigh of relief. He narrowly avoided a conversation that would have surely painted him as a questionable guardian. He sees the playground in a new light. It's a paradise for children, and he wants his daughter to experience all the joy it has to offer. He places her on a swing for the first time, carefully instructing her to hold on tight. She follows his instructions perfectly. With a gentle push, he sets her in motion, launching her into a new world of sensation. The new sensation is startling and she cries out, eyes squeezed shut. He coaxes her gently, promising she is safe. She seeks his promise of safety. He gives it to her without hesitation, his voice a steady anchor in her moment of fear. Her fear gives way to delight as she opens her eyes. The sensation is exhilarating and she declares that it's fun. Meanwhile, Seon is having the time of her life, demanding higher and higher pushes from her exhausted mother. He offers to push Yeon-du higher, but her first thought is for his well-being. He brushes off her concern, ready to give her the world. Yeon-du is impressed by her friend's agility on the monkey bars. The friend, in turn, encourages Yeon-du to join in the fun. The sight of the two girls playing together is too precious to let pass. He pulls out his phone to capture the memory. Her friend's encouragement is based on the fact they are the same age, a concept that Yeon-du doesn't seem to understand. He realizes this is yet another basic concept she was never taught. The list of things she doesn't know seems to grow longer by the minute. Her attempt to emulate her friend ends with a fall. He gasps and rushes to her side, his heart leaping into his throat. He crouches beside her, his face etched with worry as he checks to see if she's hurt. To his immense relief, she brushes it off with a cheerful grin, completely unharmed. She's eager for more fun on the slide, and he readily agrees. The other mother teasingly points out the look of pure love on his face. She comments on his loving gaze, admitting she doesn't look at her own child with such honey dripping from her eyes. He simply states it's a father's love. He explains that the novelty of the experience makes it particularly precious. He hasn't yet reached the stage of parental annoyance. She predicts this will become a daily request. He welcomes the idea, ready to make up for all the childhood fun Yeon-du missed. Her curiosity gets the better of her, and she asks a personal question about his marital status. His simple confirmation makes her realize she may have overstepped. She inwardly cringes at her own nosiness. He deftly deflects by pointing out that she, too, must have started her family early. She has to admit he's right. A moment of shared awkwardness hangs between them, both silently acknowledging the foolishness of her question. They decide on a proper introduction. After sharing names, she asks about his work, assuming he's coming from his job. Her curiosity continues, and she asks him directly about his profession. He struggles with how to answer. He resolves to be honest despite his own insecurities about his job. Sensing his hesitation, she quickly apologizes for being intrusive. He brushes it off with a polite laugh. She attempts to dispel the awkwardness with a self-deprecating joke about two things she supposedly lacks. He plays along, asking for the answer. She delivers the punchline with a straight face, thought and tact. He sees her attempt to ease the tension and plays along, matching her light-hearted tone. He compliments her humor, acknowledging that even without thought or tact, she has a redeeming quality. She gets defensive, insisting her joke wasn't a brag, and he placates her with a laugh. Yeon-du interrupts their conversation, bubbling with excitement about her playground adventures. He basks in her joy. They decide to call it a day, agreeing to a future playdate for the girls. She expresses a desire to meet his wife, assuming she must be as lovely as her daughter. The innocent comment leaves him feeling unsettled. He couldn't answer about his job, and he certainly can't answer about a wife. He reflects on his shame. In the past, he never cared, but today, for the first time, he was unable to say the words. The reason dawns on him: his life isn't just his own anymore, it's hers, and that changes everything. He pictures Yeon-du at school, having to explain his menial job to her peers. The thought fills him with a sense of dread. The realization solidifies into a painful truth. He needs to become a man she can look up to with pride, and his current job isn't it. He recognizes that he's been adrift for too long. With Yeon-du in his life, he has a reason to change his trajectory. Yeon-du's empathy is immediate. She sees the pain in his eyes, and her own begin to water, telling him that he looks hurt. He's taken aback by her perception. She explains that she recognizes the expression because it's the same one she wears when she is in pain. He questions his own composure, wondering if his inner turmoil was so visible on his face that even a child could see it. Her concern for him is so strong that it brings her to the verge of tears. In her eyes, his pain is her pain. Her empathy touches him deeply. He quickly reassures her, masking his own feelings to ease her worries. He offers a piggyback ride to cheer her up. She voices her usual concern for his stamina, and he gives his usual loving denial. Reassured, she accepts the offer, and they head home together, their bond strengthened. He decides on the next video topic, one of his specialty dishes. He'll make a kid-friendly version of kimchi fried rice. He takes extra care in the preparation, squeezing out all the spicy juice to make it palatable for Yeon-du. He tastes the final product, confident that he has successfully removed all the heat. He serves the dish with a flourish. Yeon-du's eyes go wide with delight at the sight of the perfectly cooked egg on top. He prompts her to take a bite. She cautiously lifts the spoon to her mouth. He smiles, watching her eat. It brings him joy to see her enjoying his cooking. Her expression changes in an instant. Her face flushes and she freezes, spoon in midair. She holds the food in her mouth, her cheeks puffing out as the heat builds. The verdict is in: it's spicy. She leaps from her chair in a panic, and he jumps up, alarmed by her reaction. He tries a bite himself, completely bewildered. He was so sure he had made it mild enough for her. To his adult palate, there's no spice at all. He watches his daughter's dramatic reaction with a mix of amusement and concern. He rushes to soothe her, handing her a glass of water to quench the fire. She tearfully accuses him of lying. He tries to explain that it wasn't spicy for him, but her tears tell him that's no excuse. He decides to review the footage, and Yeon-du, her spicy crisis momentarily forgotten, wants to see herself on screen. On screen, they watch her tiny, panicked reaction to the spicy food. The footage is adorable and he laughs out loud. Yeon-du, however, is more impressed with her own speed. He playfully threatens to make more spicy food, but she quickly shuts him down with a tearful protest. He relents with a laugh. The light-hearted moment reminds him to check the status of their online venture. He decides it's time to show Yeon-du the positive comments, hoping it will boost her confidence. He's also eager to see the latest stats. The view count has skyrocketed. In less than a day, it has surpassed 13,000 views. He is astounded by the numbers. He realizes that with this level of traffic, a longer video could have already generated income. He calls Yeon-du to his side, ready to share the good news with her. He sits down with her, ready to show her the fruits of their labor. He gently reminds her of the video they posted. She remembers the day fondly, associating the video with the tasty treat she enjoyed. He tells her about the viewers and their comments. The concept is new to her, and she looks at him with curiosity. He tries to find the right words to explain the concept of comments, simplifying it for her to understand. She grasps the idea, and he prepares to read the overwhelmingly positive feedback aloud to her. She readies herself, a little nervous but curious to hear what strangers think of her. He sees her small, clenched fists and knows she's anxious. He silently hopes this experience will be a positive one for her. He begins to read, his voice filled with the glowing praise from the comments section. The viewers are clamoring for more. The flood of compliments continues, with viewers calling her a little princess. Yeon-du listens, wide-eyed and stunned. She can hardly believe what she's hearing. She seeks confirmation from her father, her voice full of wonder. He reassures her with a warm smile, reminding her of his promise to always be honest with her. A wave of relief washes over him as he sees her face light up with genuine happiness. The plan is working. Her newfound confidence sparks a desire for independence. He encourages her, linking her studies to the reward of being able to read the comments herself. A flicker of self-doubt returns. She voices her fear of failure, worried that she might not be smart enough to learn. He counters her fear with an unconditional promise of support. His words bring back her smile. He continues reading the comments, each one a testament to her undeniable charm and cuteness. Her innocent question about a swear word sends him into a minor panic. He quickly rephrases it and warns her not to use such language. The next comment is just as confusing, with its strange expression of affection. He decides it's probably best to stop reading for now. Though exhausted, he feels motivated to keep the momentum going. He sits down to edit their next video. The anticipation for the next video is intense, with some fans making humorous threats. He interprets their passion as a sign of the channel's success. He assesses his workload, calculating that he can realistically produce 2 videos per week. He focuses on finishing the current one. 10 days have passed. After uploading the new video, he steps out for some fresh air. His thoughts are consumed by the complexities of the adoption. The process requires training and extensive paperwork, which has been weighing on him. He remembers the bureaucratic hurdles, including a call with his cantankerous grandmother. Thankfully, she cooperated, allowing the adoption to proceed. The legalities of the adoption will create a strange family dynamic. He will become the legal nephew of his own daughter. He accepts the strange family tree as a necessary evil to protect Yeon-du. His reverie is broken by the arrival of his friend, Seong-hyun. His friend guesses his order correctly, but reveals his own craving was for something different. The friend is disappointed by Yeon-du's absence. He explains that the spicy food at the restaurant isn't suitable for her, so he arranged for her to play at a friend's house. They dig into their meal, both agreeing that the restaurant lives up to its reputation. He inquires about his friend's life after graduation, learning he now works as a career counselor. He finds this amusing, as it contrasts sharply with his memories of his friend from their younger days. The friend brings up a memory from high school, teasing him about his past. He playfully accuses his friend of trying to annoy him. He sighs, unable to refute the comment. He muses that their roles in life seem to have reversed since their school days. He acknowledges his friend's accomplishments, noting his dedication and success in building a stable career. His friend's expression turns serious as he asks what Joo-won is currently doing with his life. He decides to take advantage of his friend's expertise, asking for professional advice. He confesses his recent anxieties about his future, admitting he feels lost and unsure of what path to take. After much thought, he has arrived at a single conclusion, which he now presents to his friend. He reveals his new career plan, seeking his friend's professional assessment of his choice. His friend's shocked expression is not what he expected. He assumes it's surprise at seeing him finally taking initiative. His friend stares at the phone, then at him, utterly dumbfounded by the choice he's made. He explains the thought process that led him to this decision, focusing on the practical need to earn a stable income. He describes his pragmatic approach, eliminating overly difficult career paths in favor of something achievable within a year. He envisions a future as a real estate agent, a respectable profession that would allow him to provide for Yeon-du and finally feel like a father she wouldn't be ashamed of. He turns to his friend for validation, but the career counselor's professional opinion is blunt. He's crazy. The friend repeats his assessment with a smirk, emphasizing that the plan is not just ambitious, but completely insane. His temper flares at the insult. His friend, unfazed, accepts the challenge and offers to pay for the meal as a conciliatory gesture. He tries to drag his friend to the counter, but the friend stops him, wanting to understand the real motivation behind this sudden career change. He explains his plan to balance a stable job with his YouTube channel. His friend's expression suggests he's starting to see the logic. The understanding is short-lived. The friend immediately pokes holes in the plan, questioning his lack of experience in the field. He argues that passion should trump experience, but his friend's counterargument is sharp and logical. The friend presses him to consider his actual talents. When he asks what those might be, his friend tells him he should already know. He starts to understand where the conversation is heading. His friend is hinting at the talent he abandoned long ago. He recalls his friend's persistent nagging about his abandoned art career. It's a painful subject he'd rather not revisit. His friend uses statistics to illustrate the difficulty of earning a high income, but he disputes the numbers. The friend corrects his statistics, driving home the point that success is rare but achievable for him if he returns to his true talent. He's taken aback to learn this is a shared opinion among his friends. He wonders if they all secretly believe in his artistic talent. The answer is not what he expected. Their faith isn't in his talent, but in his tenacity and resilience. He doesn't understand. His friend begins to explain, referencing the very topic he tries so hard to avoid. The friend reveals a crucial piece of evidence, the hidden cache of his old artwork. It's proof that he has never truly let go of his past. He's rendered speechless, exposed by his friend's undeniable logic. There's nothing he can say in his defense. He leaves the restaurant feeling emotional. The conversation was difficult, but it unearthed feelings he had long suppressed. He flashes back to the darkest time in his life, when grief led him to abandon his dream just as it was within his grasp. He remembers the suffocating numbness of his grief. The well-meaning words of his friends and teacher couldn't penetrate the wall he had built around himself. He ended up skipping the final exam, his grief transforming into a deep-seated resentment for the very thing he once loved. He looks at his old paintings, admitting his friend is right. He hasn't fully given up, but his responsibility to Yeon-du still outweighs his personal dreams. He recalls his friend's final suggestion to seek guidance from his old art teacher, a man who might offer a new perspective. He thinks of his former mentor, a man who believed in him deeply. The thought of facing him again is filled with a mixture of guilt and longing. He hesitates, filled with uncertainty. He wonders what his mentor will say when he confesses his desire to return to the world of art. He arrives to pick up Yeon-du, greeted warmly by the mother of her friend. She reports that the playdate was a success, praising Yeon-du for being a lovely and well-behaved guest. Yeon-du rushes into his arms, her face bright with happiness after a fun-filled afternoon with her friend. She comments on his early arrival, and he feels a need to apologize, though he's not sure why. She offers him a cup of tea as a gesture of hospitality. He politely refuses but agrees to treat her next time, sealing their newfound friendship. He is taken aback by the size of the home, realizing they live quite comfortably. He offers to help, but she insists he relax and feel welcome in her space. He gently reminds the little girl, Yeon-du, to be careful with her hot drink. Yeon-du obediently follows the instruction, carefully blowing on her tea to cool it down. He suddenly remembers the other child and quickly tells Seon to also be cautious with the hot tea. Seon coolly asserts her knowledge of quince tea, leaving him slightly flustered. He takes a sip and a quiet smile of satisfaction spreads across his face. The tea is perfectly sweet. He praises the delicious tea and she is relieved by his approval. He correctly guesses one of her ingredients. She is flustered that he discovered her secret, while he wonders at her strong reaction to a simple guess. Yeon-du looks up at her father, wanting him to know just how much fun she had. She eagerly lists her happy memories from the day, from puzzles to tasty treats with Seon. While she continues her story, he notices the woman seems preoccupied, her mind clearly wandering somewhere else.